And we've got music playing here in the studio. Not on the radio, but in this. Let's listen, shall we? What is that? Is that on your phone? Whose phone is that? Is that your phone, Mars? Yep. Oh, there, it just went away. Well, today's in-studio guest is Richard Tomlin. I'm glad we're off to a great start here. Richard Tomlin from Apex Auto Works. And our new car showroom this week is the Jeep Gladiator. Ever wanted to know what it was like to drive one of those? Well, Mr. Mars is going to review that coming up. And I take a look at the Ford Expedition Max, and wow, what a vehicle. Plus, we'll have this week's automotive news. We'll have our weekly Ram Tracks and Jeep Trails features. All that and more just ahead on today's In Wheel Time Car Show for Saturday, March 7th, 2020. It's daylight savings time, fast approaching. Tomorrow at this time, we'll lose an hour.
Saving time. There's no S on the end of that.
Today's show is presented by Ram Trucks, back-to-back Truck of Texas, and by Jeep. The Jeep Celebration event is here, which means great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time are waiting. Hurry in before time runs out. What'd you say?
I was talking to him.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sorry. I didn't think I was talking quite that loud.
That's okay. I appreciate you being here. Mr. Mars, how are you today?
I'm doing great. So far, I think almost maybe. I'll let you know.
Okay. Well, good.
He's here.
He's here. And you,
I'm
troublemaker,
doing great.
you know, you were the kid in class that was pulling the girl's hair, throwing spitballs onto the metal
Substitute teacher.
spitballs on the metal shades in the classroom. So when everybody's about half asleep, kabam!
No,
at
it
the
wasn't
back of the room.
spitballs. I shot dried peas, so it really made a lot of noise. It fit just about right in the straw.
How many times did you go down to the principal's office?
I lived in the principal's
That's
office.
what I thought.
I got kicked out of Catholic school in the middle of the first grade.
Why doesn't that surprise me?
Something not to be proud of, but I think
It sounds like he's
quite
bragging
good.
about it.
Well, at this
'Cause I was a
age,
little-
I would be too.
I was a little out of control.
Uh-huh. And your mother let you live. I was going to say
It
made
was
you
more
live.
my
but-
dad that I worried about than my mom.
I see. Well, see, for me, it was my mother, because she handled the switch off the new tree in the backyard that was real bendable, and she used to strip those leaves right off of there with 2 fingers and go to town on my bare legs.
No. I didn't live in an Italian family, but it seemed like, because they didn't go out to the tree, they got the wooden spoon out of the drawer, and you got your butt whooped with a wooden spoon. And that's back in the day where your parents would leave welts on you. I mean, you could see the shape of the spoon on my legs and my.
And you still can.
Yes, you can. And there's a lot to spoon too.
Angela, never mind. I won't even go there. Well, welcome to the In Wheel Time radio program.
Richard's going, what did I get into?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Our guest in the studio today, Richard Tomlin from Apex Auto Works, Alvin, Texas. You got an A thing going on there.
We've stuck with A.
Or is it Alvin's Apex Auto Works?
No, it's Apex Auto Work.
Okay. Anyway, how have you been?
Life is amazing. We've been chasing a lot of things recently and a lot of new opportunities.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. So for those people that don't know, that tuned into the show for the first time, what does Apex Auto Works do?
We are branded as a race car safety facility. We tend to take cars that are unsafe in racing and make them safer.
So you're the roll bar king.
We build roll cages, seating, really getting into
Suspension.
ergonomics, suspension, fire systems, belts, seats, harnesses.
But pretty well known in the industry as one of those providers to do that. If somebody buys generally an older car and they want to bring it up to current specs, you're the place they're going to drop the car.
Yeah, correct. And we've even got some stuff as recent. We had a guy drop off a C6 probably 5-6 weeks ago. We turned a 3-week turnaround, completely ready turnkey track car.
And okay, so when you say you completely turned it around, what did you do to it?
Strip the car, full cage, suspension, body kit, seats, fire system, ignition kill, ready to go racing.
And what kind of racing?
He does time trials with it. He also races the Ferrari World Challenge with a 488 Ferrari.
So it's a road
kinda
course
like a
car.
road course.
Road course car, absolutely.
Yeah. Is that the main thrust of what you do, road course cars?
I would say 98% of what we do is road course.
Interesting.
The other 2% is mine, where we play on the roads in Mexico that scare you.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good on that.
Yeah.
I'm good.
But you don't do
Coronavirus.
any drag cars? They don't come to you for cage work?
We've done a couple of drag trucks.
Oh, really? Okay.
So what I call the possum trucks locally, where they're running a 5.3 and put a big turbo on it, 1,200, 1,300 horsepower. We'll put cages in those that we tuck them up real high and tight so nobody can see them from the outside. They like to play like they're a stock truck, so we call them possum truck. They're far from it.
Tuck them high and tight.
We used to call it sleepers.
The cage. So from the goal for us when we build a roll cage in a car is from the outside of the car, if you're driving by it at a show or even at a track, you should not be able to see the cage.
That's very difficult to do and make it work.
It's time and patience, but when you're my size, 6'2", 235, 240, I need all the space I can get in a car, so we became very proficient at making the interior space as large as possible.
Do you bend tube or do you cut tube?
We bend it, and then we cut and notch, cope it to where it needs to be.
Gotcha.
Well, I'll
And,
tell you,
and
you
I
gotta,
assume that you also use the wall thickness for whatever series that you're making the car ready for.
Right, correct. And we build for about 7 different series right now. So.
And all of those series are somewhat different in nature, I assume.
Actually, pretty close. You get into some unique stuff about door bar placement and angle of attack on main hoops, but most of them, 99%, are based off of the SCCA, so Sports Car Club of America. Some would call it the Secret Car Club of America, but that Ford versus Ferrari really kind of set the stage for everybody understanding what SCCA was. Is that's where America's sports car started. I mean, it's what started every car club that's out there as far as road racing, time trials, autocross.
So you were into roll bars. So what did you think about that horrific wreck at Daytona?
Very impressive when you look at the fact that one of the bars that was added to the car this year was his idea or his crew's idea.
the Newman bar, that low bar on the windshield that added the cross strength to it.
Lots of improvement adding that one bar to it.
Well, I'll tell you, because I would think as a designer of a cage, you don't think about the upper part of the halo of the cage getting struck at 200 miles an hour. You think about that being something to keep everything else in shape, not that it has to withstand impact.
Yeah, not the primary function of that bar for sure.
Yeah, you would think that rollover would be more of the function of the bar as opposed to intrusion by another car. Yeah.
But what we're seeing is the faster and faster we go, the tighter and tighter the racing, the more violent our accidents are becoming.
Yeah, and when they happen,
Yep.
they seem to be more tumultuous toward the end of the race, and there's more of them, and more cars are caught up in them because more cars are running together these days. When back in the day, they were all over the track.
Right. I mean, you got to look back in the 70s. Richard Petty'd have a 3-lap lead on the number 2 car. That really doesn't happen too much anymore, really, because they're punching such a big hole in the air. The guy behind him gets a run on him because he's not fighting the air resistance.
They make sure there's not only that, they make sure there's a certain amount of parity to keep the cars running close together.
Oh, yeah.
Balance of power.
Yes.
Is the term they use, which I got embraced with that at Daytona this year. We were privileged to be hanging out with Reese Competition this year at Daytona, and their balance of power, they'd come in 2 days before the race actually started, took angle of attack out of the wing, lowered the rev limit, and lowered their boost numbers 2 days before the race.
So that's after qualifying.
After qualifying. Everything's already set, their grid spot's picked, and they came in and took that stuff away from them.
Horrible is that?
It's stuff that you don't see on TV, and you're not I'm pretty educated in racing, but balance of power, you don't see it being that great. And the things they did, I mean, the 500 RPM limit takedown at a place like Daytona, that is life-changing. I want to say they took 3 PSI of boost away from them. That changed the whole strategy.
Who took that away?
The governing body that puts on...
At the race, they took that
the
away.
officials.
At the race. The officials before the race, because you've got a board that says, here's our balance of power. We want everybody running close together, just what we were describing with NASCAR.
In a time per lap.
Time per lap. And Daytona is also based on your tire wear and then how often you're going to need fuel.
So how do they determine that with different manufacturers? One manufacturer could have 8 pounds of boost in that engine, and over here you got 6 pounds of boost.
It is regulated and monitored.
All electronically.
All electronically.
And I assume that the governing body sees all of that.
And they say you can't run that. You're going to run 7, not 8. You're running too fast.
So did they react to that because of qualifying times, practice times, a combination of all of that?
The roar before the 24, So they collect all the data from the Roar 24. They spend that 2.5, 3 weeks going over the data on what they want to do.
Which Roar before the 24 is a test session.
Correct.
A couple of weeks before.
Three-day test session.
Right.
They come back and they make their decisions based on what they saw performance there.
I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that because what's happened to the manufacturer duels? There isn't that anymore.
Correct.
Pretty much.
Correct.
It hasn't anything to do with the manufacturer because everybody's like Ford, Chevrolet, and Toyota in NASCAR. They're all pretty much equal.
Well, we were there this year for the C8, of course. We wanted to see that greatly, and we were talking back to the C7s that we saw at COTA, 3-4 years ago, and they were running through two 25-millimeter restrictors. Most of your LSs, like LS1, LS6, runs a 92-millimeter throttle body. At that level of racing, they had them restricted to two 25-millimeter throttle bodies. Okay, so you're taking 50 millimeters of air. Then most of your street vehicles are already at 92. But that's why the transmissions are changed, drive shafts, rear ends are so light, is to make these cars perform at that level.
So it almost deters the manufacturer from technological advancement.
Absolutely.
Because if they find, hey, if I do this and I spend $1 million to develop this widget that makes me 0.2 of a second faster, they're going to throw 50 pounds or 75 pounds on me to
or
pull
restrict
that
your
2
airflow.
seconds.
Absolutely.
Right.
They're going to pull you back to be competitive, balance of power so that people want to come see the race.
Okay, so within IMSA, within SCCA, within NASCAR, that's the case. What about at F1 at that level?
F1 at that level does have some of the balance of power. I cannot speak specifically on that because it changes yearly.
Because it seems Mercedes has had just an advantage over everybody for a couple of years now. Ferrari kind of gets there every now and then.
Mercedes has a lot of talent, a lot of behind-the-wall talent on their team.
So now what's going to happen when we are introducing electric motors into the equation? Because that changes everything. Because now, we're not dealing with internal combustion engines anymore. We're dealing with electricity. What are you going to do? Put a rheostat on it now?
They'll find a way.
Yeah, because I don't quite.
There'd be something like that to regulate it.
Yeah.
Well, boy, I
well,
tell you what.
If they can measure it, I guess basically they can regulate it.
Yep.
Richard Tomlin, our studio guest today. This has gotten kind of deep.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm.
It's really interesting because you think about Formula E.
Yes.
I mean, they're running that down to Mexico. Just a matter of time before it gets here.
New Jersey's got one huge event that's all put on by SCCA corner workers. So if you want to do a Formula E event, New Jersey is the place to go.
Wow.
No, I'm good. New Jersey.
No Jersey for you?
No.
Do they give you headphones with an MP3 player sound effects in it? So otherwise it'll just be.
Yeah. It is interesting the noise, the mechanical noise they make. Being a car person,
Yeah.
it is actually it's not the same noise, but the noise that you can hear from gearbox, from tires, from steering inputs,
You couldn't hear with
you
the
couldn't
loud
hear before.
motor.
Okay.
Now
Okay. Oh,
it,
yeah.
it is interesting. There's definitely a difference of education you get when you're listening to them mechanically.
All right. Well, Richard Tomlin with Apex Auto Works in the studio with us today. More from him at the bottom of the hour. Coming up, we're going to have a review of the new Jeep Gladiator. Mr. Mars got that just ahead here on the In Wheel Time radio program on ESPN 97.5.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Ram trucks, back-to-back truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Time, baby. Hey, you got to spring forward, fall back, So tonight you get to lose an hour. I believe that's Pink Floyd, is it not? That's your
Correct.
favorite song, right?
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Yeah. Well, I love Pink Floyd. So don't forget, when you go to bed tonight, move your clocks ahead an hour. Going to lose an hour of sleep. Thanks for joining us for today's In Wheel Time car radio show here on ESPN 97.5. Time now for this hour's review of the Jeep Gladiator. We always have a new car in the showroom every week in every hour of our show. And this hour, it's the Jeep Gladiator, and Mr. Mars has that.
So if you haven't seen or been around the Jeep Gladiator, this is Jeep's version of a midsize pickup. It looks, just because of the styling of it, looks a little bit bigger than midsize, but the trim level we had was an Overland. So it's an Overland 4x4. You can get it in 4 different trim levels. You can get a Sport, Sport S, Overland, and then you can get the Rubicon. Sport's the base model that people get if they're really going to do some modifications. If you're basically going to start cutting on the body to take fender flares, that's an easy way to get into it and do that. The Rubicon is the hardcore factory off-road, bigger tires, bigger skid plates. I mean, it's the one that you can literally hit the Rubicon with straight out of the factory showroom. So all of this is all brand new for 2020, but you're going to see the standard stuff. You're going to see the 7-slot grill up front that tells you that this is definitely a Jeep. Premium LED lighting that includes the headlights, the fog lights, the running lights, the tail lights. Just if it's a light, it's got it there. Now, the Overland has the option, because of the trim level it has, to have a 3-piece body color hardtop, and that's what we had. Makes it look a little bit more like a regular pickup than with the tonneau cover, or the soft cover that goes on it, but we did have the roll-up tonneau cover that goes over the bed portion. And another unique thing about the Jeep Gladiator, there's several things, but one of them is the 3-position tailgate. You know, you can open it, you can close it, obviously, but because of the way it's designed, it's got an opening about 3/4 the way down that you can use the cables to where you have it. And it just happens to line up with the carrier inside the bed, so that if you've got 8-foot boards or a 4x8 sheet of plywood, it sets on the railing on the inside of the bed and it extends out over the tailgate. So it's kind of like a tailgate extender. So it's a really nice, unique use of it. And the other thing about the bed on this thing is the sidewalls are shorter. Somebody even my height, I can reach over and touch the floor of the bed. Some of these newer trucks, the 2500s in particular, I can't even hardly reach into the fender wells, much less touch the bottom of it. So it makes it a lot more user-friendly in a lot of ways. Now, we also had some other options, the power side steps. We had the 18-inch wheels. We had a few other things that kind of go along with this. Now, when we get into the interior, we had the leather trim bucket seats. Now, they're heated in the front seat, so this is not a stripper. This is not the Sport or the Sport S. This has got some nice features in it. You got 8.4-inch touchscreen Uconnect system where you're going to find your nav, your Alpine Premium audio.
Did he say stripper? Did he say that?
Yes, he did.
And then we also, since we had the hard top, we had a hard top liner on it. So it kind of fills out the inside of it really nice. Now, the rear seat also on the Overland has a center console with armrests that have cup holders in it. So it really doesn't, you may not look at the inside of it once you're in it. You may not really feel like you're in that much of a Jeep because it's nice stuff.
So upscale.
Yes. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, got all that good stuff. Now, up under the hood, they're using the 3.6-liter V6 as the base engine, 285 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque, backed by an 8-speed transmission. They use this combination in a lot of different vehicles. They've had a lot of success.
It works great. It's their bread and butter motor.
Now, this vehicle, properly equipped, will tow 7,650 pounds, which is more than what it weighs. It'll also haul in that bed 1,600 pounds. So that's a lot of stuff to put in there.
It's very capable. It's not just a Jeep Wrangler that somebody threw the bed on the back of it. No, it's not.
No, it's
that.
not. And
it's
a lot of
real
people
truck.
look at it.
It's well thought out.
I had a nephew that was over looking at it, and he said, well, it's a Jeep with a bed. No, it's not. It's got a longer wheelbase on it. It's a little wider. A lot of it is designed along the same way so that you can use all the accessories. That's the reason Mopar has 200 accessories available for this when it rolled off the factory. So it's really well thought out. Now, the EPA says this vehicle should be looking at 17 in the city, 22 on the highway, and 19 combined. Now, I got 18 out of it, so that's close enough.
That's pretty good with your
Mr.
lead
Leadfoot over there, yeah.
Well,
No, yeah, we know.
The V6 runs really well in it. Let me just say that. But like you were saying, it's a Jeep, but it's longer. It's got a 4-link suspension up front. That's the reason whenever you're going down the highway at speeds you're not supposed to, you don't have that Jeep wandering all over the highway feel to it. You can actually drive it more like a regular SUV.
Let me just interject here and say this, that I drove a mid-size pickup truck competitor to this Oh my God. And I drove this Gladiator not that long ago. I don't know, a couple of months ago or so.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This Gladiator is so far advanced from this thing that I drove. And this thing that I drove that I'll be reviewing in coming weeks has always been a mainstay in this category, and it is no longer competitive. You take the Ranger, you take the GMC Chevy equivalent to it, the
Right.
Colorado. All that, and then you throw this one in there. None of these can compare. And I'm not touting the fact that, yes, Jeep is a sponsor, but I'm telling you, this thing will do things that those other trucks can't do, i.e. off-road, and also tow and haul.
Well, that's partially because it's a Jeep.
Yeah, and you drive it out on the highway, and literally you go drive a 2-year-old four-door Jeep, you know, and then you get into one of these. The interior is going to be a lot the same, but it will not. There's a night and day in the way it drives difference. I mean, it's totally different. But as you said, so if you're looking for something to compare this to, you're going to look at the 2020 GMC. They've got an all-terrain off-road model. The Tacoma TRD Pro, Ford Ranger Lariat's got an off-road. They all start in the low 40s and bumping up to the mid-40s. The Jeep Gladiator Overland, the one that we're driving, starts at $40,395. Now, we had a few options, as I was saying, the hard top and things.
Top of the line.
$56,380 for this vehicle. But again, take it out to go out to the Rubicon, and you can drive it much faster than you need to on the way out there to do that.
Take a full-size truck equipped this way, and it's going to run you $70,000.
Be another 20 on top of that, and not be able to do what this one will do. So
thank you, sir. Coming up next hour, we'll have a review of the all-new for 2020 Expedition Max. Hey, when you're online, you can see this broadcast on Facebook.com/InWheelTime and on YouTube as well. Thanks for joining us here on ESPN 97.5.
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time, which means more time to discover all that awaits in a luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, more time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Time to show off all that hard work you did on your car over the winter. How about a different kind of Saturday morning cruise in? Tailpipes and Tacos in Katy is fun and fabulous. Breakfast tacos, coffee, meeting other car enthusiasts, and the In-Wheel Time Car Show. All at one location. The Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in. Tailpipes and Tacos, the third Saturday of the month. Join us March 21st at Lupi's in Katy.
Welcome back to the In-Wheel Time radio program here on ESPN 97.5. We got Tailpipes and Tacos in a couple weeks? Couple
Yes,
weeks,
sir.
isn't it?
21st.
Next week. No, 2 weeks. Bob
21st.
Fuller will be here next week, and then the week after.
Bob Fuller, because we're going to talk about Uncorked.
Yes.
Which, has really turned into a big deal, especially for those that are in the know and like really fancy show cars.
Well, it's society, the automotive society people here in town really want to be involved.
Yeah,
with
collector
something like
cars.
And the venue they're doing it at is just...
Where's it going to be?
It's going to be back out there at the Flight Museum.
Oh, it is.
that. Oh,
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be doing
location.
that.
Yeah, it truly is a wonderful venue out there.
And we talked to the general manager there of the venue, and he's quite the car person. I remember we had him on the show when we were out there for the Mustang show. He is very much was he a general?
Colonel, I think.
Lieutenant Colonel. Yeah, he was quite a car nut.
Well, we're going to switch gears here, and we're going to talk about something that has really piqued the interest of all people that are into automotive, and that is the announcement by Ford Motor Company of this thing called the Mustang Mach-E. And it is an SUV. It's an electric SUV. It's not a Mustang. But they call it the Mustang. Yeah, it's full electric. And
It's got a couple of... It almost has Mustang taillights.
It does have these... Well, let's get it from the horse's mouth, shall we? So on the line with us now from the Ford Motor Company, Mr. Mark Kaufman. Mark, thanks so much for joining us on a Saturday. I know you got better things to do than talk to us.
Actually, I love talking about cars and Mustangs, so I'm happy to be on the show with you on Saturday.
But we would certainly appreciate it. Hey, Mustang Mach-E. So the first thing I have to ask you is, why do you call the thing a Mustang? Because you got the Mustang people all up in a roar because it's not a Mustang.
You know, one of the things we've been sharing with those diehard Mustang fans when they're asking is if they think about their favorite amusement park as a kid, and they had their favorite ride,
the Wild Mouse.
And you want to know something? What we've said is, we've added a new ride to your favorite amusement park, and if it's not for you, that's okay, but that doesn't change the fact that you love that original ride that you went to. So we have extended the Mustang brand, and we are introducing that fantastic Mustang Mach-E that has, in the Performance Edition, a mid 3-second 0 to 60. So we think it actually absolutely lives up to the Mustang spirit of fast, fun, and freedom.
Well, I have to tell you that at the Houston Auto Show back in January here, it was all the rage. Everybody was around the Mustang Mach-E. And apparently I'm not the only one that was really surprised to see it there at the show and to really appreciate the design of it, because I have to tell you, that's a good-looking vehicle.
It was gorgeous, yeah. Yeah, you're
Yeah, we've had fantastic reaction literally around the world on the product. We've had millions of people go to our Ford.com website to check out the details on that Mustang Mach-E. And we also just announced we've got reservations around every state in the United States. So we're seeing good, strong demand everywhere across the country.
When is it going to be produced? When is it going to be available to buy at the showroom?
Well, we are going to have products in the showroom later this year. And the one thing we're encouraging everyone to do is get the reservations in. Ford still qualifies for that $7,500 federal tax credit. And by getting that reservation in, we can assure you that you're going to get your product while that credit is still available.
Well, let's talk.
Nice.
Yeah, that is nice. Let's talk about the vehicle itself. This is really a complete change from Ford Motor Company. It's a first of its kind, a full electric from Ford.
It is, and it's a fully dedicated platform, which helps us get that battery nice and low. So if you've got some diehard car fans on your site listening in, one of the things we're sharing, that center of gravity is almost as low as the Mustang Coupe. So you can imagine that with a perfect weight balance between front and back, this product is sure to bring a smile to their face for anyone that loves the Mustang Coupe once they get in and experience the vehicle.
So what you're saying is right around the corner is an entry in NASCAR.
You've obviously seen some growing interest in Formula E. So what we're noticing is performance buyers in particular are really appreciating that fantastic power and torque that's coming out of electric motors. And with 300 miles of range on the product, customers who might not have considered an EV before, when you're getting that fantastic range now, and you have the convenience of plugging it in at your residence, they're starting to realize that for a car that can bring a smile to your face, it's got great cost of ownership as well.
So when somebody, not me, asks you about pricing, what do you say to them?
Well, we've got an entry price at $43,895, and that's before you are applying that $7,500 federal tax credit. So we actually see this as providing great value for money for the performance that you're getting. Again, top-end version, over 600 foot-pounds of torque, mid 3-second 0 to 60. So you are getting a vehicle, and now you can bring, different than the Mustang Coupe, you can bring five adults in the vehicle total.
So this is going really toe-to-toe, head-to-head with the Tesla SUV, and I absolutely love it. Come on, America.
Yep, we would like to say that we will be the only electric vehicle that has the soul of a Mustang in it. As you would imagine, we spent quite a bit of time in this company making sure the design is right. And when we show customers the image, before they even know it's a Mustang, they use the exact same words to describe this design as sporty, aggressive, modern, sleek, as what they did the Mustang Coupe.
Well, I tell you what, I have to tell you that it's pretty exciting stuff. When I first heard of this, when it was first announced to the press, I'm going, what? You got to be kidding me. Not only they're going to do electric, they're going to put it in an SUV, and then they're going to call it a Mustang? No, don't do that. But now it's starting to grow on me, and it's like I am dying to get a ride in this thing.
Well, I'm thinking we go down to Richard's place there, that thing will run a 25 or 30 lap race with that kind of range on it. We'd be good.
Yeah.
We'll see what.
I don't know as if Ford would like a racing press vehicle. Thank you,
we
Mr.
won't
Mars,
tell
for
them. We won't
ruining it
tell
for
them.
all of us.
If it wins, they'll love it. When it wins, they'll love it.
There's that. So, Mark, listen, we're all excited about it. And so where can our listeners and viewers go to see all about the Mustang Mach-E?
They can simply go to our website with Ford.com, and there's a Mustang Mach-E that you're able to click on and learn all about it. And you are able to get that reservation in, even for the GT product's going to be arriving in spring of 21, so a little bit later than the other series. But that performance edition with fantastic all-wheel drive, you can put reservations in for any of the products that we're going to be offering right on that website.
Well, that's true.
Exciting.
Yeah, it really is exciting. Keep on America. All I can say. Mark, it's great to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday, and please stay in touch with us and let us know all the latest developments.
Thanks for having me, and we'll be happy to share more once we start getting the products on the ground.
Sounds great. Mark Kaufman, Ford Motor Company. All right, time now for the car calendar, and that's things that we've got coming up.
Yeah, short-term things that we've got coming up tonight. Nifty 50s is having their first night of the year up at Grogan's Mill, what used to be the Randalls, which is gone. So now the anchor product of that shopping center is Nifty 50s. Otto's Barbecue tonight is Ford night for non-Mustangs. Guess what's next weekend?
Wait a minute. It's Ford night for non-Mustangs.
Right. So Ford Galaxies, Ford pickup trucks, T-Birds.
In case you didn't know, they made something besides
the Mustang.
Well, I know. Well,
You've seen
why would
plenty of
you
Mustangs.
exclude the Mustang?
Well, they don't necessarily exclude it, but they want to make sure those people who don't have a Mustang but have a Ford product know that this night's kind of dedicated to them. They'll do a Mustang night as well.
Fine, I'm bringing the Corvette. That's all I can say.
Well, next weekend is going to be my weekend of choice. On the 14th at Otto's is going to be Oldsmobile night.
Oldsmobile night.
So we're all going to bring out the Oldsmobiles. The club's going to be there as well. Freddy's Steak Burger tomorrow night is Mopar night. And then on the 13th, Freddy's Friday in Kirkendall is going to be Street Rod night, which will actually be pretty cool. Rudy's Barbecue Meat in Tomball on Thursday the 12th. On the 14th is going to be the Classic Car Show at Pine Valley Raceway with the nostalgic funny cars. We've talked about that.
Don't forget about Tailpipes and Tacos in 2 weeks.
Tailpipes and Tacos is on the 21st. Also on the 14th is going to be the inaugural annual show
Rip Van Winkle show
at Walden Country Club. So they're going to have their first time car show at Lake Houston Golf and Country Club. But we're definitely going to make a big show out of Tailpipes and Tacos. Invited some new folks to come out and check it out as well.
Very good. Hey, calling all car, truck, and Jeep clubs, we'd love to feature your bunch in our Car Club Spotlight. Just shoot us an email with your contact information, and we'll get in touch and put your bunch on the air and online. And Time continues after a quick break on ESPN 97.5.
Ram trucks, back-to-back truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
From ESPN 97.5, Houston's most popular weekly award-winning talk show, this is it, In Wheel Time. Today's program presented by Ram Trucks, back-to-back Truck of Texas, and by Jeep. The Jeep Celebration event is here, which means great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time are waiting. Hurry in before time runs out. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. Yes, we are live in the studio and live on Facebook and live on YouTube. Something going on with our Facebook feed today with it all?
No, not at all. I'm communicating with somebody.
but you mentioned earlier that it was
all
buffering or some.
All is perfect.
You got it fixed. In other words, it was your fault again.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear. In the studio with us, Richard Tomlin from Apex Auto Works. And he is a race car enthusiast and maker, builder, converter, designer of cars.
Toys.
Making toys into race cars.
Correct.
Yeah.
We have a good time.
And he gets paid for it.
Pay is questionable, right? Pay is always questionable.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for coming in today.
I appreciate it.
Because I know that you would much rather be out there welding and fitting and playing with race car parts.
Well, we stopped at one of the local SCCA autocross practice this morning at Gulf Greyhound Park. We got 36 people out there playing right now.
Wait. Gulf Greyhound Park.
Yep, we rent the
That's
parking
a dog.
lot. We rent the parking lot.
I was going to say, because that's a former dog racing
Yeah, rent the parking lot. We'll set up a 60 to a 70-second course on that, and they're running around that for the event tomorrow. And then when we're done here, we'll be heading to MSR Houston, where Formula 4 is practicing today.
What is Formula 4?
Formula 4 is the development series that feeds Formula 3, then feeds Formula 2.
No, well, what kind of cars?
Open-wheel cars, Honda power plant, carbon fiber monocoques.
So are they all spec cars?
Yes, correct. Spec cars modeled after F1.
What can you do with the spec car?
Race it on a
No, but I mean, I understand that. Thank you.
I do not fit. You might barely fit in them. They're made for very, very small, young individuals to play. Super high G load, super light cars.
So is it one of those like the Mazda Miata spec series where you can't touch the engine?
Correct. It's
Can't
a
touch
development
that.
series. Yeah, it's all locked down. Alignment settings, wing settings.
That's all you can play with.
So you can fool with that, and that's about it.
That's about it. It's a feeder series to development. Driving
Is it a
talent.
4-cylinder engine in it?
4-cylinder Honda.
4-cylinder Honda engine with a manual transmission?
It's a
paddle
sequential,
shifting.
Yeah, paddle. So nobody uses a clutch anymore.
How many gears are in the?
I actually don't know. I think they're running 6.
Okay.
So
6 speeds.
So really, the purpose of that is driver development.
Well, it's an international series, but the U.S. series, James Rogerson and Dan Hellman are heading that up for the SCCA, and Sidney Davis. I think you guys remember Sidney from MSR. Right. But they're running it, and it's a pro series, SCCA pro series, but it's a development to get some American drivers elevated to the F1 level.
How much does it cost to buy one of those cars? Used?
Used, I know they're less than 6 figures. New, they're $160, I believe. So they're actually really cheap for what they are. And I know that sounds relative, but a full carbon fiber monocoque.
Yeah, I don't have any relatives that can afford a $160,000 car.
It's
race car.
They're quick. Yeah. They're very, very, very quick.
Well, have you ever done a street conversion? You ever done any street conversions
for an open wheel car?
Yeah, from an open wheel car.
No,
never have.
No,
like a legacy car or something like that.
I know nothing of what you speak.
He's too quick to say that.
Yeah, you obviously don't want to get into that.
If he did, yeah.
But how much fun would that be? Take one of those, 1934 little, bodied cars with open wheels.
I do know too much about the Texas law and with what's going on with the dune buggy stuff, and things have changed. And
well, the dune buggy thing all got cleared, and it's all good.
Kind of.
And we're still fighting with some because I have 2 of my own that I'm still working on.
Myers-Manx dune buggies?
No,
clones.
Any kit car comes under that purview.
Yes.
So I've got 2 that we're working on for that. And then we also own one of the Legends that you're speaking of. I have one of those, but I would not recommend driving that one on the street. If you get into one of these F-250s, F-350s, or a Gladiator, you're not walking away.
Yeah.
They're just
they
too
won't
small.
even see you.
Yeah,
You're
they're
so
a
small.
5/8 scale car.
Like
even with the roll cage, I would not want to be in that accident at all.
Well, isn't part of the issue you
Good
talked
point.
about the kit car thing is maybe the state law is out there, but the local people don't necessarily know what the new state law is, so they're always going to stop you and question you on your legality of being on the road.
Yep, and it's what's interesting is the law wasn't so much a Texas law; it was a individual who was enforcing a federal law to keep federal highway funding, and was not communicating with the Texas board about that. So that's all been addressed. In September of this year, we'll have another vote. Everything should be 100% at that point.
So get out and vote.
Yeah, get out and vote. Pay attention.
Who are you voting for? We're going to vote for it. We're going to vote for whoever it is.
No, this isn't a political
wait.
show.
You jumped the gun. You know, you are that little kid in class that, we watched you get marched out of first grade to the principal's office. We watched in horror. Yeah.
My parents would have to come pick me up at school because they said he's just having a bad day. We can't keep him here
What
anymore.
of those kids?
I was. Yes.
Then you never got invited for sleepovers, did you?
I was horrible. Actually, I did because I was the comedy at the sleepover. Sometimes got sent home early. Yeah. I might have got invited, didn't get to sleep over though.
Okay, so back to the politics part of the car thing.
Actually, I can't say that a single politician had a problem with what was being proposed.
So, okay.
It was actually staff that it actually created
the staff
the
of who?
TxDOT.
TxDOT staff.
Yeah. All of our titling and licensing, and it's Department of Transportation, which becomes a federal, is where we get our federal highway money. And part of the funding was vehicles that you have on the road have to meet the National Traffic Highway Safety Institute.
Okay, I got all that.
To give you how silly it is, technically, you could not approve a Jeep or a convertible to be on the highways in Texas because they're not crash tested with the top down or with the doors off. It's modified at that point beyond what it was tested. So technically, they should not be legal. It's a silly, silly loophole, but this is what they were using, saying that, well, your kit car's never been tested by National Traffic Highway Safety Institute. You could hurt yourself or someone else. You could do that on a motorcycle just as easily.
Yeah.
So it's being fixed, it's being addressed, and our government's doing what they can to fix it.
And it's probably got something to do with revenue because everything in politics has to do with revenue. So somewhere somebody wasn't paying enough money to get it approved.
Those darn revenuers, they just don't leave you alone. We got that still in the backyard, but them the revenuers, they're still after every dime they can get.
Driving my 37 Ford with 100 gallons of shine in the back.
That's it. Time now for Jeep Trails. In Wheel Time's weekly look into the world of Jeeping, and Mr. Mars has Jeeps.
Yeah, he does. So we're talking about, you see things, you see the Harley-Davidson guys go by, and they've always got this little wave, and you see the Jeep people go by, and they wave, and everybody says, oh, the Jeep wave. That's not the Jeep wave. The Jeep Wave is actually a program that Jeep has in support of Jeep owners. You buy a new Jeep, and you can get a 2-year membership that it's automatically you're enrolled in it, depending on which kind of vehicle you happen to get. And it's a support mechanism. Now, this membership gets you 4 oil changes and 4 tire rotations across your 2-year membership. It's for 2 years. Now, if you've got a 2015 or older, you can buy a 1-year membership, and you get half of all that. But the really cool thing that I thought about this, it's nice to have that, save a little bit of money. But if you're out on the road, you're over 100 miles from your address of record, and you break down, you're under warranty, you break down, you got to put your Jeep in the shop, they will reimburse you up to $1,000 to pay for lodging, meals, whatever expenses you have incurred because the Jeep broke down. So it's a really cohesive plan there to help you take care of your Jeep vehicle the first 2 years that you own it.
Well,
and it's called the Jeep Wave.
I think it's a great idea to communicate that because I wonder if the dealerships are doing a great job of communicating that to Jeep customers because that's actually the first time I've heard of that. And I live in the car business.
It's a huge value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To offer that kind of a roadside assistance program.
Yes, sir.
Or off-road assistance program.
That's right. It doesn't say how it breaks down. It just says if you break down.
Right. Or if you get, centered on some rock somewhere and you got to have the wrecker stretch out that cable and pull it off of there. There's that.
Yeah. So it's a great deal. It's just another one of those things. You got to go out and look at it at thejeep.com. You can go out and see it there. There's a lot of the benefits of buying a Jeep.
All right. Coming up, we got our weekly featured car club we're going to talk to over there called Spindle Top, and we got stories making automotive news headlines, and the racing calendar still coming up. That's just ahead here on the In Wheel Time radio program on ESPN 97.5.
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time, which means more time to discover all that awaits in a luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, more time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. what's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Don't forget to move the clocks ahead. We've got a time theme going on this weekend. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Not a problem.
All right. I believe that would be Jim Morrison in the Doors, right?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Duh. Welcome back to the In Wheel Time radio program, Houston's #1 car show here on ESPN 97.5. Joining us on the phone right now from the Spindletop Car Club, John Carnahan. Well, here's the problem, John.
How do you say it, John?
He's trying to read my writing.
No.
Carnahan. You can't read your writing.
Well, here's the problem. I wrote down on a piece of paper, I tried to anyway, your last name, and I can't even read my own dang writing. So
well, it's easy. It's like, car time, Carnahan.
Carnahan. All right.
That is.
Well, John, it's good to talk to you. See, you got a big rod run March the 28th that we're going to talk about. But first, tell me about the Spindletop Car Club.
Well, the car club, Spindletop, was established as a Spindletop Rod Club originally in 1982. And through the years, as the baby boomers got older and the hot rods got to be older, so it was expanded to Spindletop Rod and Classic cars. So currently the newest we take is a 74.5, and I think what the cutoff was a catalytic converter. But we're a family organization. We try to do things with the family. We meet out once a month and have our meetings, and we try to plan road events. And once a year, normally, we try to get a group of us, and we go to cruising the coast in Mississippi. So it's a fun organization. Try to keep the drama out.
Yeah, well, because we know how that drama can play out. Because, if Conrad's involved, he brings the drama. But at any rate, so you got a rod run coming up in a few weeks on March the 28th. Tell me about that. Where is that going to start? How do you get in it? Where is it going to go?
Okay. Well, it's March 28th in Midland, Texas. It's on Boston Avenue. It's a one-day event. We went to one day last year after many years of doing a 3-day. And we had a tremendous turnout. We had 205 cars.
Oh, my God. Wow.
And, we have a pre-registration before March 22nd. You can get in for $20. How many car shows are still $20?
$20. You can't even pay for parking for $20 anymore.
Oh, you can't. That's it. And it's 25 the day of the show. We just like to do this so we know how many's coming. But we have goodie bags. If you pre-register before the 22nd, you also put in a drawing for an additional chance at $100. Because we give grand prizes of $500. We give a regular pre-register for $100, and then we have 4 $100 cash prizes. All you have to do is be there.
Now,
how hard is that?
Well, it depends on, I guess, your mental ability to find the address. But so you're going to start there in Needle, and are you going to go somewhere?
No, actually, it's just a car show. This is our big fundraiser for the year, and what it does, the money we make goes to a needy family that has a sick child or something to that effect. It's, with the cost of medical these days, it's very expensive, and we try to help the things that fall between the cracks, like they may need a place to stay. So we'll give them X number of dollars, whatever we raise, and they have money to help get through feeding themselves for the day or getting a room or whatever it takes.
So the run part of the rod run, as you call it, is actually running your car from wherever it is that you are over to your show.
Right, but let me interject this. There's another organization locally. That night, they usually run cruising Midland Avenue. So about 3 blocks over, starting about 5 o'clock, there'll be people lined up and down Midland Avenue, and all the cars go from our show usually to that street, and they just drive up and down like they used to do 40 years ago.
So you
middle class.
so you don't have kind of like a drive-in, like a Prince's Drive-In or something down at the end of that run that you do on Saturday night. You just keep going back and forth like old Westheimer days.
Right.
You could, or I could have a Sonic down the street, which this is a free plug, all it work for. Well, there's places to park. We'll even have people bring out a little barbecue pit. They sell sandwiches if you want to.
It's the
these
neater.
places lead up and down, and business that are closed for the night, and they let you park.
It's the Nederland Dream Cruise instead of the Woodland
what it
Woodward
is.
Dream
And
Cruise.
like you said,
kind of stuff.
there's some charity groups that raise a little bit of money out there too.
You know that Mike Mars is from Nederland. Did you know that?
Oh, I know Michael.
Everybody knows Michael,
mainly
mainly from the jailhouse. But at any rate, so what we're thinking is that we could come over to Michael's house. We'll drive all of us. Yeah,
adult beverages, maybe.
all of us drive over there, and he could make some, ham sandwiches with
We'll
Swiss.
buy some hot links out there on the drag.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we could do that.
Hey, it's
but
crawfish season. Let's eat some bugs.
That's right.
Bugs and beer.
all right. So I guess that we've got this information on our Facebook page and our website and all
the
that.
information. It's
Yeah, but I sent Mike, I believe, a flyer, but let me give it to you one more time. It's March 28th, Boston Avenue. There's a windmill at the end of the street. It's a museum, Texas Rhythm Museum, and it starts at 7:30 that Saturday morning. And it goes to 4 o'clock, plus or minus.
yeah. The
And
city
I-
actually blocks the street off for this car show.
Yes,
And then
the street is blocked. It's free admission to come.
Well, I want to
look.
go.
it's
Well,
nice.
come on.
Well, I mean, but I've got a 20-year-old Corvette. I don't
So?
qualify.
Oh, they'll make a special
You can
reason
cruise
for
the
you,
drag
John.
Saturday
our
night, though.
Just
our
park in the
show
alley.
takes anything from 1900 to present. Your 20-year-old Corvette works right in. We're the big car seat Corvette club. Usually comes out there in mass. They usually have 20 or 25 cars, so you fit right in.
All right, I'm looking at my calendar. I'm going to put it in the calendar. I'm going to try to get over there. Hey, it's great to talk to you, John.
Well, thanks for the opportunity, and y'all keep the car
If-
love for cars going.
And if
It's alive and well in Mid County over here.
well, thank you. We appreciate that, and we'll try to keep it clean too. Thank you, and we'll talk to you on the 28th.
See you there.
All right, John Carnahan, the Spindletop Car Club. Time now for our racing calendar, and we got stuff going on, I assume, somewhere.
Well, yeah. I mean, actually, this weekend, Pirelli World is up at COTA. I know John's probably, or Richard's probably got a car or two up there.
Friends and
running.
family.
Friends and family. So Phoenix is NASCAR. And then coming up, NHRA is going to be next weekend is the Gator Nationals. IMSA starts the 12 Hours of Sebring in 2 weeks. St. Petersburg is next weekend, and that's IndyCar launch. Next weekend is the first race of Formula One, and that's Australia. This coming Friday, March the 13th, the World of Outlaws is going to be running at the Cotton Bowl Speedway in Page, Texas, which is just west
When
of
is that?
Giddings.
When is that?
It's Friday, next Friday, this coming Friday, the 13th.
You know, why can't they do it on a Saturday or a Sunday?
Because we have to do the show on a Saturday. I
know,
called
but
them
I want to go.
specifically and
I
said
love
do
World
it on a
of
Friday.
Outlaws. That's my thing,
Oh,
man.
World of
hell
Outlaws
of a
would be
show.
a hoot. Be a great show.
I've been to one.
And then again, you know, the upcoming series for the Texas Short Track Racing Series out at Houston Motorsports Park. That starts in April.
Yeah, by the way, we're going to talk to Rodney Rodriguez, who's the play caller out there at Houston Motorsports Park. We're going to talk to him next hour. All right, thank you, sir. We've got more coming up, including this week's news headlines. And, boy, we got lots of them. You're going to want to hear this. Coronavirus and South by Southwest news to tell you about. You're listening to the In Wheel Time Radio Car Show on ESPN 97.5. We'll be back right after this quick break.
Ram trucks, back-to-back truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Time to show off all that hard work you did on your car over the winter. How about a different kind of Saturday morning cruise in? Tailpipes and tacos in Katy is fun and fabulous. Breakfast tacos, coffee, meeting other car enthusiasts, and the In-Wheel Time Car Show. All at one location. The Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in. Tailpipes and tacos, the third Saturday of the month. Join us March 21st at Lupi's in Katy.
Wait just a moment. Listen. Good stuff, huh?
Absolutely. Very good music choices.
Thank you. So we're doing a time theme because you got to turn your clock's head when you go to bed tonight. Welcome back to the In Real Time radio program on ESPN 97.5. Time now for the stories making news headlines this week from the annals of autonews.com.
And there's some humdingers.
South by Southwest, the giant Austin, Texas Film, Music, and Technology Festival that was scheduled to host about 24 sessions on transportation and future mobility was canceled yesterday because of concerns over the coronavirus. The gathering, which was to begin March 13th, attracts more than 75,000 people to the city each year. I think it's more than that, isn't it?
Oh, way
to
more.
catch a glimpse of some of the world's biggest bands, filmmakers, politicians, and business executives. We don't care about them. Automotive industry has become more involved with South by Southwest as the festival has grown in popularity. Kia was a major sponsor, one tier below the top sponsorship level. And this year's panel discussions were to cover topics such as autonomous vehicle data sharing and collaboration, future automotive cockpit design, designing the Waymo driver, and transportation safety through the airways. The event has helped transform the once sleepy town into a mini Silicon Valley, as we have discussed before.
Oh, very much so.
Dozens of startups and tech titans, including Alphabet, Apple, and Facebook, have opened offices there in recent years. In the past week, many of those companies had canceled their appearances at the conference, and the conference finally said, we'll do it again next year, but not this year.
Thank you to all those people who pre-purchased their airfare tickets that they're not going to get back.
Yeah.
And they're all going to pay for half of their Airbnb rentals as well that they're not going to get back.
Toyota said Wednesday it would add another 1.2 million U.S. vehicles to a fuel pump recall to address potential vehicle stalls. Dealers will replace the fuel pumps with a new one. Toyota said the recall now covers 1.8 million Toyota and Lexus vehicles in total in the U.S., including older vehicles from as far back as the 2013 model year. Owners have complained of rough engine idling, engine not starting, and loss of power while driving at low speeds. Toyota said the reports occurred more commonly in areas of the southern U.S. with warmer climates. I just thought that I would make mention of that because we happen to be in a warmer climate state.
And I think the inside story to that was because of some of the humidity issues. And
like the airbags.
Well, yeah, but that humidity gets into the fuel tank through the evaporative emissions system, and that the water and the alcohol and the fuel create corrosion on the fuel pumps, and that's what's causing the failures.
Another recall to tell you about, that would be by Hyundai. Hyundai Motor America recalling 207,000 Sonatas in the U.S. because of fuel line issues that could increase the risk of fire. Recall covers thermal events.
That's a bad recall.
They always are. 2013 to 2014 Sonatas sedans produced between November 2012 and January 2014 for the U.S. market. Last week, Kia also recalled more than 51,000 Sedona minivans, 2011 to 2012, for a similar problem. It seems that the fuel rail might crack and leak fuel all over the engine, increasing the risk of a
thermal event.
Thank you.
But it only happens once.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Don't park your car and let it idle in the garage.
You want to get your car insurance canceled? Well, there you go. Go buy one of those and have it fuel douche all over the motor.
All it needs is a spark after that.
That's it. And one more story. course, we got to talk about the coronavirus. We kind of did. So China's car sales had the biggest monthly plunge on record as the coronavirus kept shoppers away. Sales fell, drum roll please, 80% in February.
Whoa.
The China Passenger Car Association said on Wednesday, without giving a full sales figure for the month. Toyota, the first major global automaker to report its February sales in China, said it sold 23,800 Toyota and premium Lexus cars last month, down by 70% from a year earlier. Automakers have poured billions of dollars into the world's largest car market over the past decades in a bet on its growth potential. Well, everyone from market leader Volkswagen and electric car maker Tesla to smaller local contenders have been affected as the spreading outbreak hit both demand and production.
Well, you got to remember, General Motors sells more Buicks in China than they sell in the United States, and it's been that way for quite some time.
Well, that's it for this hour of In Wheel Time. We'll be back at hour number 2 after a quick break. You're listening to the In Wheel Time radio program on ESPN 97.5.
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time, which means more time to discover all that awaits in the luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, more time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
A crying baby is impossible to ignore, but a quiet baby can be easy to forget. Every year, dozens of children lose their lives because otherwise attentive adults forgot they were in the back seat. It only takes a moment for a car to heat up to dangerous levels, even on cooler days. So get in the habit of always looking in the back seat and use reminders to ensure baby is always with you. Where's baby? Look before you lock. Paid for by NHTSA.
This is ESPN 97.5, brought to you by Zada Jewelers.
It's pretty dope.
The absolute best choice. KFNC, Mont Bellevue, Houston.
It's hour number 2 of Houston's #1 weekly award-winning car talk show, In Wheel Time, on ESPN 97.5. What are you laughing at?
Poor Trey.
Trey is filling in for Harrison this week, and you know, I don't know. There's something, I don't know what it is about you, Trey, but you know,
welcome to the club.
We think that we want to party with you, but we're afraid we'll all go to jail because you're not near enough old enough, I don't think. But anyway, there's something about you that makes all this ugliness come out in all of us.
I'm actually a teetotaler.
Are you a teetotaler? Well, we can corrupt you in other ways, so don't worry about it.
That translates into designated driver, I hope you know.
Coming up, we'll continue our in-studio conversation with Richard Tomlin from Apex Auto Works down in Alvin. And this hour's new car showroom is the 2020 Ford Expedition Max. Oh, my gosh, you're going to love this. And we got a review of that. Conrad has his popular car clinic. We'll also have our Ram Tracks feature. And you'll hear the stories making automotive news headlines this week, all just ahead on Trey's In Wheel Time Automotive Radio Show. Today's show is presented by Jeep. The Jeep Celebration event is here, which means great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time. They're waiting for you. Hurry in before time runs out. And by Ram Trucks, back-to-back Truck of Texas. Howdy on this Saturday, along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us. We're trying to have a good time here, and I think that the good time machine is in full swing.
Yes, it is.
The good time machine.
Isn't that a restaurant?
Yeah, well, there used to be a restaurant, but I think that there was also a car or a truck. Something had Good Time Machine on the side of it. Was it from a TV show? Yeah, it was from a TV show in the setting. Was it?
But it was
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, the Good Time Machine.
There you go.
Mystery Machine.
Mystery
Machine.
Well, no, this one is the Good Time Machine.
Well, we'll have to
There's
Google
something
that
for you,
probably
Trey. You got to look that up on the internet, the Good Time Machine, and tell us what that is. So, again, in the studio with us, Richard Tomlin from Apex, and we're talking racing and cars and your transition.
Wow, where's he going with this one?
Exactly. Your transition of cars from street cars to hot rods that are capable of racing on a track and not getting booted out because they don't make it on the track legally.
Right. And to elaborate on it a little bit more to give you an idea of some of the stuff we're doing, we've got a program going on with some disabled veterans. And we were talking about the Formula 4 earlier. So Formula 4 travels around the country providing support races. So we've been involved with Mazda specifically, and it looks like we are building 10 Mazda 2s that will be modified for handicapped veterans, basically dual amputees, so it'll be hand controls to drive the car.
Cool.
And it'll travel around and do support races for the veterans, so they'll show up. It'll be like an old IROC style
I was just going to say, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is IROC.
Each event will be able to have different veterans come in and race and provide them, one hell of an experience.
Wow.
When you get those built, we need to take Don down there and drive with those controls. My dad, we put hand controls on his van, and it's a different experience.
Oh, it's fun.
Driving with those hand controls.
Only imagine.
It changes everything, because what I see most is when you're initially doing it is your eyes tend to go down because you're not used to putting your hand below the steering wheel.
Right.
Once you get it, it's not that bad, but these are front-wheel drive cars, and they've done events before with disabled veterans where it was a rear-wheel drive car, but we call it the butt meter. You can't feel as much with a rear-wheel drive car without using your legs. You feel a lot through the clutch and the brake and the gas.
Okay,
a front-wheel drive car, everything comes through the steering wheel.
Oh, okay.
So it is actually easier for them to drive the car at 10/10ths, what we call it.
I'd never even think of something like that.
Because there's a better driving sensation of
You
loss
feel
of
more.
traction, loss
Exactly.
of, when the car starts to slip.
So these cars are based out of the SCCA class, Sports Car Club of America, B spec, which B spec is basically you're taking something that's normally a $9,000-$10,000 car. If you buy some from IAA, we bought some as little as $1,000. You put a roll cage in it, put tires on it and coilovers, and you go out and you race. Well, most recent race we had in MSR was in part of our winter series, and we had 14 of these cars show up in one group, 2 drivers per car, run an hour enduro and swap halfway. Was amazing fun to watch. Just a good time.
Sounds like the Eco Stocks out at Houston Motorsports.
Similar,
Park.
very similar, only faster.
That is so cool. Yeah. So, speaking of series like this, so you're going to build all 10 of these?
Yeah, we've built 4 currently that are being used to get them their schooling and education through the SCCA at MSR. Once we've got 10 that are actually through the school, we'll actually start holding our first events.
So let's talk about IROC for a minute, the International Race of Champions. Man, I don't know about you, but I love that event.
Oh.
So it took professional, seasoned drivers from
various
sports,
IndyCar, NASCAR, road course stuff.
They had drag race guys too.
And drag race guys too.
They had some off-roaders in it.
And the ones that I remember were all Camaros, and they were all allegedly equipped the same way and prepared the same way.
That's what they told us.
That's what they said. And they ran really tight. And back then, this is, I think, mainly in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. And they ran really tight around like Daytona. And they got into trouble just like all the ones today, except they ran a lot tighter compared to the other cars in the series back then. Where NASCAR, like you mentioned, the lead car may be 2 laps ahead.
Right.
And these weren't that way. And I would like to think that series is, obviously, you mentioned it, similar to this thing that you're doing.
Correct.
So how do you prepare a car, for instance, the engine? Not all engines are created equal. They may say that they're 110 horsepower. One may be 105. One may be 112.
You're limited to a basic tune that you can do on the computer. Whatever you can access in the computer and change, you're allowed to change.
Now, you don't.
That's it.
Do you jack with the engine at all, other than maybe change the oil and make sure it runs right?
You'll change the air intake. Okay, so your actual air filter basically gets yanked out. You put a little better one in, and then from the header manifold back is a custom bolt-on exhaust. Other than that, just go play. Run about 110, 120 horsepower. They weigh 2,100 pounds, 2,200 pounds. It's plenty. And you're door handle to door handle with 12, 13 other people on a 2-mile road course.
Next to me.
All kinds of fun.
Doing the same thing you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not knowing what we're doing.
Yeah, but that's the way I live my life.
Don't we all?
When you talk about series that race like the IROC and you enjoyed that, currently, probably the biggest ones for our World Challenge is very, very adamant about trying to keep the cars equal. And they travel around and run support series. And, of course, most of those are based through RISI competition across the way from us here in Houston. And then the other one is Long Beach Grand Prix. Toyota for years has been a sponsor of that. So you've got the Formula Drift that happens days before the Long Beach Grand Prix, and then you'll have a celebrity IROC race, which I think last year was actually the Supra they brought out.
I was just going to say.
And they've done that for years, the celebrity race.
It's like 20, 25 years they've sponsored that celebrity race, and that is really a fun race to watch, IROC style of people that don't have a ton of experience on road course, and it's the concrete jungle, Jersey barriers on both sides of the street.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I guess the thing that really drew me into the IROC race is the fact that, of course, they just appeared as Camaros. I understood that they weren't, but anybody that had a Camaro, or a Mustang for that matter, could relate. It was all relatable. I couldn't afford a Supra, put that on the racetrack, but you could go out and buy yourself a 5 or 10-year-old Camaro or a Mustang and certainly get that out on the track.
Yeah, I think IROC actually went back.
You could relate well enough to imagine doing it, and you could think about doing it, whereas some of those there's no way in the world, so you don't even think about it.
Right.
Yeah, I think IROC actually went back into the 70s, because I actually remember IROC had the like a 74-ish Camaro was one of the body styles that they used, but it went through a couple of different chassis, a couple of different bodies.
Correct.
I want to say originally IROC might have been a 911 for like 1 or 2 years, and then it switched to Camaro, and then the last year or two of it was Pontiac Trans Ams.
Why did it end?
Well, the Daytona was part of that too at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So the Daytona,
The Dodge,
early
yes,
90s, I think.
Right. So why did it end?
I don't know. There is a International Race of Champions now, but it's more based on off-road style, rallycross type stuff. They bring people in because there's fewer people that do off-road stuff, and I believe they're bringing in talent, putting them on dirt, something they don't normally do.
Well, didn't they even name a Camaro an IROC Camaro that
Correct.
they sold
After
out of the
after
dealership?
the series.
It was.
Yeah.
And I believe like the last half of the time IROC was a series was actually run by the Penske organization.
That would make sense.
And where they were bringing in all the crews, they were doing all the tuning, all the setup for everybody.
But there was one guy that basically built the cars and prepared the cars,
And
Banjo Matthews or somebody that was recognizable by name at the time.
In the NASCAR industry. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with who that was, but yeah, that's how it was portrayed to all of us, that it was the exact same guy doing all the cars, so they were the same.
I think it was David Lockton.
David Lockton. Google wins.
Great job, Trey.
Thank you.
Google makes us all smarter.
I knew that like at the top of my head. I actually really do like racing.
Okay.
Really?
There we go.
Yeah, big fan.
Okay, well, good. Well, this show is we developed this show just for you today, just because we knew that you were going to be our producer today, and so we brought it to you. You like it?
Of course.
Okay, good. Well, thank you.
So, Richard, back to your disabled veterans
right.
series. Are you trying to develop that here locally to make that a national series?
We'll hold the schools here, and we'll build the cars here and basically house the cars, and then we'll travel to the Formula 4 races, and that's where they will actually be.
So it'll be kind of like something else that's going on that weekend.
Yeah, it's a
while you're
support,
there.
what we call a support race. So the stuff you see, you show up to F1 race and you're there 9 o'clock in the morning because you want to be there to see everything. These are the races that you would see. We'll use this to fill track time and fulfill people's dreams.
Well, plus as people get a chance to see it, you get more people involved in it, and the series will end up growing. I mean, I think that's kind of your intent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is to see how many more people you can get involved in it.
As we're live on Facebook, I'm getting text. It says the Porsche 911 was the original IROC.
Thank you very much. I'm not as dumb as I look.
I did not know that Porsche was the original one, but the Porsche nerd that sent me that would.
He would know.
But at least he's listening, so thanks,
there
Chris.
There you go.
Well, I've seen, Tony Stewart. I just recently saw a YouTube video of his collection of,
I saw that too.
X-race cars, and he's got one of his IROC Trans Am in his collection.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure those cars are still in existence somewhere, just most of them are probably
they
in
used
different...
to tear those things up.
Well, you didn't have to race it again, right?
No.
One race.
They didn't
done.
care. Well, it wasn't theirs anyway.
It's on loan.
It's on loan. Well, this sounds like a great thing. So how many hours and how much money do you have to put into one of these cars to transform them from something that's been on the street all these years to something that you can set up for a racing series?
If you're talking about the B specs, so we're talking Mazda 2 Honda, you're talking all in less than $10,000. If you already own the car, less than $10,000, you can be on track.
And how much can you buy one of those cars for? $3,000-$4,000
or less? Because they're manuals, and nobody wants manuals, so they're cheaper on the used car market because of it being a manual transmission.
And you have to have a manual transmission?
No, you can run an automatic, but you'll be in last place. But if you're okay with that, you can run an auto. I'm good with that.
No, I mean, I can you still buy
your
manual
Corvette's not an auto, right?
No, it's not.
Okay, making sure.
It's a 6-speed.
We can still be friends.
It's not a girly car.
Not yet.
There's a bunch of them out
although
there.
I'm trying.
Of a car.
Send your comments to info@inwheeltime.com.
Well, so basically for $13,000, you can have yourself a race car and race is it a road racing?
Yeah,
do you race door handle to door handle?
Yes.
You do?
Absolutely.
It's not a timed event race.
No, but I offer those too. Through the SCCA. We do those as well.
Solo
but,
too.
Yeah, solo too. Time trials, track sprints, which we'll talk about those later. We'll get those on some of your bulletins for service coming up. But no, we can get you into road racing with SCCA. All in, you're talking less than $10,000 if you want to do it on a budget and come out and race just like what you saw in Ford versus Ferrari. Get on a closed circuit track and let's go play.
Except not at 200 miles an hour.
You might be able to, depending on what your budget looks like.
Not in a B-spec car.
BG products are amazing.
Yes,
and
they are.
Things do happen.
Yes,
so
thank you very much. Appreciate the plug.
Richard Tomlin, our guest in the studio today from Apex Auto Works down there in Alvin, Texas. And we've got more of the In Wheel Time radio program coming your way, including a review of the new Ford Expedition Max that I had a chance to drive a couple of weeks ago. My. I want one. Hey, be sure and stay in touch with us all week long by following us on Facebook, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and through InWheelTime.com. Thanks for joining us today here on ESPN 97.5.
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time, which means more time to discover all that awaits in the luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, more time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Time to show off all that hard work you did on your car over the winter. How about a different kind of Saturday morning cruise in? Tailpipes and tacos in Katy is fun and fabulous. Breakfast tacos, coffee, meeting other car enthusiasts, and the In Wheel Time Car Show. All in one location. The Lupi Tortilla Mexican restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in. Tailpipes and tacos, the third Saturday of the month. Join us March 21st at Lupi's in Katy.
Feeling real mellow.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash. You feeling mellow? Just saying. Welcome back to the In Wheel Time radio program, ESPN 97.5. Time now for this hour's car review. Had the 2020 Ford Expedition Max. This goes head-to-head with the Chevrolet Suburban. You know, for a long time, they didn't have one that went head-to-head with the Suburban.
Yeah, didn't have the long wheelbase.
Correct. Well, they do now. It's called the Max. Comes in these trim levels: XLT, Limited, King Ranch, and Platinum. I had the King Ranch 4x4. This is a standard SUV-BIG. Seats up to 8 passengers. Mine sat 7 because it had captain's chairs in the second row. This thing was sweet, baby. Exterior changes from last model year, none. It was all new in 2018. Again, it competes with the Chevy Suburban. Front grille mirrors the F-150 lines, but it's got a little bit of class, a little bit of
panache.
The chrome thing. It just, yeah.
You felt you were upscale.
Yeah, I felt like I needed to put a sport coat on. Let me put it that way. Straight body lines on this thing, attractive tail lamps and rear hatch. Fold down running boards on this one, automatic when you open the doors.
And that's kind of become the requirement in that category.
Yeah, and it's really not sitting up that high. So for a guy that's 6 feet tall, you really don't need them. But heck, they're going to fold down in front of me. I'm going to use them. What could use improvement? Absolutely nothing. What I liked about it, it's not complicated with its overall design. I give it an A+. on the exterior. Interior highlights, the dash well laid out in the F-150 style. Comfortable seating, second row captain's chairs, as I mentioned. Easy access, by the way, with those captain's chairs to the third row. All of it folds flat, and there's actual leg room in the back seat, and the back seat doesn't sit, the bottom cushion doesn't sit on the floor.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So many of them do that.
Yeah, exactly. Comfortable seating, second, third row fold flat, third row up. There is a unique shelving array that you can put back there so you can stack items, because when you put the third row up, there's not a whole lot of room between it and the hatch.
Right.
So they've got this movable shelving thing that goes back there. So if you need to put the backpack down here and some groceries over here, and then something on top of that, you can do that.
Kind of like an organizer.
Yeah, kind of like that. Optional sunroof is nice, but you know me and sunroofs, except here in the Houston summer heat. Cargo trunk room with those seats laid down, it's massive. What I liked about it, everything. Now, here's the kicker. This thing is not light. It's like driving a city bus down the street. It's that big. Seriously. But there is no V8 available. It is a twin turbocharged 3.5-liter V6 in it, making 375 horsepower to 400 horsepower in the Platinum model. Now, what they do to get the extra 25,
tuning.
I don't know.
Tuning, a little bit of boost, a little more air.
470 pound-feet of torque is what I had in mind. 10-speed automatic transmission, which nails it.
Do you like the 10-speed?
Love the 10-speed.
Wasn't busy. They really have got the
yeah.
The
and when you got
down.
enough horsepower behind it, doesn't make it busy.
And I love that twin turbo EcoBoost. I've got that in my Ford Transit.
It is.
It is sweet.
It is sweet.
They do a real nice job with it.
Towing up to 9,200 pounds in this big thing. Yeah. Miles per gallon rating, city 16, highway 21 for a combined of 18. Mr. Lightfoot Armstrong, 19 miles per gallon over 484.8 miles. What I liked about it, goodbye V8. I'm good with it. It's all good. You couple that V6.
You just don't miss it at all, huh?
Not at all. Not in this thing. Absolutely not. What I liked about the ride and handling, smooth limo ride, easy handling. I can't think of anything that could use improvement on it. I really like this thing. Base trim price, $78,715. Prices tested, $81,680. Yeah. You do some really nice cruising with that trailer behind you with your race car in it. Base model price is $48,990. Competitors, Chevy Suburban starts at $49,700. Cadillac Escalade ESV, $78,195. And Jeep is coming with a Commander, full-size SUV. Don't know what the price is. Don't know when it's coming out, but it's coming.
It's coming.
And they'll sell every one they build.
All right. More after a quick break on In Wheel Time here on ESPN 97.5.
Ram trucks, back-to-back truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show him you love him. Keep him safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Don't forget to turn your clocks ahead 1 hour tonight. You're listening to Houston's most in-depth radio car show, In Wheel Time, on ESPN 97.5, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Thanks for joining us today, and thank you to Rodney Rodriguez, who's joining us on the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Revved Up Sports Show ATX on the radio, Revved Up Sports Show online, the voice of Houston Motorsports Park. Here he is, Hot Rod Rodriguez.
Don, how we doing, man? What's happening in Houston today, buddy?
Well, it's happening now that you're on the show with us. Did you like the new name that I gave you? You probably have heard that before, Hot Rod Rodriguez.
Simply because I like racing. That's the only reason somebody would call me.
And
I
you know,
promise you that.
It's kind of like so many things in my life. You know, I've gotten connections with guys that enjoy what I enjoy, and that's hot rodding, sports, and especially asphalt auto racing. And for those that don't know, Rodney is the voice behind the microphone at Houston Motorsports Park and does a great job in calling the race. And there's a real art and science behind that I've yet to conquer. I've never even tried to tackle it because, you know, there's certain things in life that you really have a passion to try to tackle. That's not one of them of mine. But at any rate,
it's actually. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Don.
No, you go ahead.
No. What I was going to tell you is it's like for me the whole style. Growing up as a kid, I grew up at racetracks here all around Texas, and I remember sitting in the grandstands and my dad would whisper stuff to me. You know, he'd be like, "Hey, look at so and so's car starting to smoke or whatever," and that's really where the whole style derived from. I mean, you know, he would point stuff out, and that's kind of what I like to do. It's like, you know, maybe something's not happening at the front of the pack, but back in fifth and sixth, something is happening. You know, kind of shifts the attention a little bit, kind of make it a full experience for folks out there.
Well, let's just tell everybody right now that you actually live in the Austin area. You have a radio show on the Horn, KOKE, and also the, I guess, BAT. You got 3 radio stations that you're doing this show on, and you've also got an online show that's probably as popular, if not more so, online than it is on the radio.
Yeah. The Monday evening Revved Up Sports Show, RevvedUpSportsShow.com, and you can catch it on Facebook Live. That silly Facebook Live thing is the one that really makes that show go. It was moderately successful, Don, when we did it just online. But we added a camera, and for crying out loud, some people want to watch it, and it's a good way to really have folks interact and try to support, you know, not just HMP, but every track in Texas. You know, we're also passionate about this, and I really like to use that as a vehicle to keep our sport alive. You know, because if we don't get ourselves to racetracks and support drivers and teams and promoters, you know, we're going to have to find a new hobby, and I really don't want to. I'm too old for that.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't realize how close some of these tracks are to them and how often they have events, and you're getting that word out.
Yeah, you know, that's really the thing. I took it the other night, which you all were there at the banquet there with Advanced Auto Parts, and I really found it. I would hear this a lot here in the Austin area with Central Texas Speedway that also announced that, where folks would say, I had no idea that was there. But the facility there at Houston, you know, with HMP, especially with the drag racing aspect of it too. When Gina mentioned that folks in Houston say, you know, had no idea that was there, such a great facility, and that's really what we need to do. And you guys within Wheel Time have just been tremendous to get the word out and let people know what an awesome facility is sitting right there in everyone's backyard.
Well, thanks, Rodney, and thanks to Gina Child Knowles, who heads up the Texas Short Track Racing Series that is getting ready to get moving here pretty soon. And, you know, you do such a great job out there. And, you know, I understand that your Revved Up sports show that you have online on Monday nights, you really get into all of the drivers and all of the standings and the stuff that we really don't have the time to get into on our show. And it's a great alternative, I think, for our listeners and our race fans that listen to the show, for them to go over to the Revved Up Sports Show and get what you got going on over there.
Well, I appreciate that cross support, Don, and it you know, even with everything that we do on the radio up here, you know, with the Austin Radio Network, that show there that we do on air, we try to keep that. I call it very 101 because obviously you've got the NASCAR people, the IndyCar people, Formula One, whatever it may be. That's a very I hate to say generic race fan, but that's the stuff that they know. And kind of my goal is to capture with that program and then get them moved over to the Monday evening show, and that's when you can really get them in on the grassroots effort, you know, where they can learn about, you know, we talk to guys like Freddie Fryer and Slick Yeomans and people that have been instrumental here in Texas we get them on, get them telling stories, and we've captured so many new fans, listening to those guys that have been legendary here in Texas for so long.
Well, we love our car racing, and it shows. Rodney, I'll see you at the racetrack.
Absolutely. Saturday night, April the 18th. We'll get it started, man. Looking forward to having you down on track talking to those winners, Don.
Well, it's one of those things that I really look forward to and working with you. Thanks again, Rodney. Talk to you soon.
You bet. You guys take care.
You too. Rodney Rodriguez, the Revved Up Sports Show on Facebook on Monday nights. Be sure and tune in. Hey, if you're a member of a car, truck, or Jeep club, you can put your group in our In-Wheel Time Car Club Spotlight. Just email us the club's info and contact name and number, and we'll do the work to get you on the air and online. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. Back after a quick break here on ESPN 97.5.
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time, which means more time to discover all that awaits in the luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, more time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Do you know what teens just love? Not being told what you're supposed to love. That's not anyone's business but yours. It doesn't matter what you love, but if you love it, click it. That includes you too. Because in 2018, 42% of Texas teens who died in traffic crashes were not wearing their seatbelts. Make sure everyone is buckled up. Every rider, every ride. Brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation.
Welcome to In Wheel Time, Houston's most popular weekly award-winning car talk show here on ESPN 97.5. Today's show presented by Jeep. The Jeep Celebration event is here, which means great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time. They're waiting for you. Hurry in before time runs out. And by Ram Trucks, back-to-back Truck of Texas. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. You know, apparently that Out of This World Mars thing is stuck, and with you, it's King Conrad DeLong. And I just kind of threw that out there when we all first got together. But that was brought up to me last weekend. I thought, really? Yeah, where's Out of This World Mars? Oh, he's over there. Yeah, that's him right over there.
And my daughter even had a logo made for King Conrad.
King Conrad, that's right. There you go. King Conrad's Car Clinic, which is coming up this half hour, by the way. Our guest in the studio today, Richard Tomlin from Apex Auto Works. And you stay busy. You stay busy doing what you do.
That's good.
I know it's good. And how long have you been in business? You've been in business for a while.
18, 19 years now.
Wow. Converting cars and making race cars.
Or tearing things up, however you want to look at it.
Yeah. Well,
it's all the same.
We can relate to the tearing things up part of it, that's for sure. We might not be able to fix them back and make them run again, but we can certainly tear them up.
So how big's your crew down there at Apex?
Right now we got 4 guys, 4 men plus myself. And I don't do much of the work, honestly, anymore. It's just I'm running and being places, doing things.
And everybody welds or one primary welder?
We have 1 welder, 1 fabricator. We have 1 paint and body guy, 1 mechanic, and then we got a helper plus me.
I'll tell you, I am just so jealous of welders at that level. That is a talent that once you learn it, it's very valuable.
Well, and that's something that I would actually like to touch on real quick if we can, because I'm also on the advisory board, which I know you're on some of those too, for the high schools, but Manville specifically has a new welding shop, and I want to say it's 40 welding tables they have.
Oh, wow. Good for them.
These young men and women can start their freshman year of high school going through the program. When they leave high school, they will actually have the certifications to go work in a pipe yard immediately, go work on a pipeline immediately.
Coming straight out of high school.
Coming straight out of high school.
That's awesome. What a great job Manville's doing educating at that level in that community, because, I mean, those pipe welders are so in demand in the Texas market.
Well, they've got the automotive shop as well, which are doing the full mechanical in their 4-year program as well. And then for me, the automotive paint and body side, which I've had a couple young men come from that and actually come do a summer intern with us to actually learn some of those talents as well.
And that's kind of a very specific thing at the high school level. You know, there are a number of high schools around that have an automotive program. Very few of them have a paint and body program.
Yeah.
So,
yep. It's a good program. It's a lot of fun and has gotten me more involved with the younger generation on getting them aware. And talent is the hardest part of this business, is finding people that have the ability or the willingness.
The willingness is a big part of it, because a lot of it you could teach them.
Yeah.
If the basic mechanics, if they're interested in learning.
If they want to learn, it's not hard. I didn't go to school for this. I just went out there and got my ass kicked numerous times about it, figured out how to do it. You learn.
The School of Hard Knocks.
School of Hard Knocks is a good school.
But it's great to see more and more high schools getting involved in doing the skills education, because believe me, going to college is a good thing. I went to college, but going to school and learning a skill is a valuable thing as well, because like you said, as soon as you graduate high school, you're certified to go weld. You're certified to go do pipeline work, which, hey, I'll be honest with you, that's some good money.
Yeah,
it's really good money, and not everybody's cut out to go to college. I mean,
now, I'm just, and to that end, Mike, I wanted to mention the fact, and we're going to talk about that more in our remote broadcast that we do out at Westside Lexus soon.
Yeah. Yep.
But I have a daughter that is deep into college loan debt. I mean, it is serious. And I never dreamed in a million years that, a child would not be just six figures, but well into six figures for an education. Granted, she's a rocket scientist. I got that.
Literally.
But still, literally. But, there is something to be said, and I've been hearing it more lately about the value of the trades and going to trade school, because you can get right out of trade school, little or no debt, and go to work and make a darn good living.
Oh, absolutely. When I went to high school, I was in the automotive program. Now, this is back in the 70s. They did have a body program. They also had a culinary program. They also had a welding program. They had a heavy truck program, all in this combined high school VOTEC program that they had there. So it was more than just the automotive, and there's a small world of that right now.
Yeah, Manville, Alvin Independent School District has all that. They even have one teaching you barber, beauty stylist, nails, all that's done. But I was going to enlighten the financial thing. Mike Rowe had made a post earlier this week about our current situation is $1.6 trillion in student loan debts currently on the books, and $7.3 trillion open positions in trade which do not require a 4-year degree.
Well, but that's where I think that I know we're getting off into a different deal, but it's all relative. Because I remember even back, a friend of mine, he was dating this young lady, and she was going to school to be a marine biologist. Her goal in life was to work at SeaWorld. So she comes out of there with, I don't know how much student debt, because she didn't want to work when she was going to school, so she borrowed the money and everything to go get a job that pays $20,000 a year. And that's where a lot of kids are these days. They've gone to school. They got liberal arts type degrees. Fine. You want to be an English major? Great. Where are you going to go to work? The newspapers are shutting down. The magazines are shutting down. That's fine.
Although In Wheel Time is looking for an editor. Just saying.
We're looking for a lot of stuff. But, but
info at inwheeltime.com.
But to that point, though, I mean, there are alternatives out there for these people that they need to just be a little bit more open-minded at what the future can be for them.
Have a plan and work the plan.
And it is called work, so it's not always going to be fun.
That's right.
That's the biggest thing I think.
It's with any job.
It's
with any job.
That's why it's called a job.
We don't teach people that it is work, and it's not always going to be fun.
And a certified welder is probably going to start, I'm going to guess, in the 60s. Easily in the 60s, with an opportunity
the potential to make the 60s to start off with.
If you're traveling pipeline stuff, it's actually 87.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So I was going to say probably easy to get it in north of 100 based on how many certifications you get, because each level of welding requires a new certification.
And where you're willing to work.
Right.
So,
Well,
right.
Some people want the AC, don't want to be in the tent in South Dakota, because they're welders at tents in South Dakota. They're making over six figures.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but they're bringing in Keystone.
They're working too. Yeah. They're working.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting that we have this discussion about welding. How this conversation kind of wound its way into
trade.
There's so many different many things in our environment, our world, that involves welding.
So my rocket scientist daughter in Denver decided that she wanted to learn how to weld.
Seriously.
There you go.
Seriously.
See?
So she took a couple of Saturday classes with a guy down the street who taught this, advertised it online, had 3 or 4 students in there, students of his
Right.
from all different ages and cultures and everything else that had no clue of how to weld. She got in there and welded and learned how to do it.
That's
and,
cool.
you know, and I'm sure that she was pretty good at it because she's whatever she puts her mind to, she's one of those kind of people.
And she can double stack it because not only can you learn to weld, if you wear nice jeans when you go to weld, after you're finished with class, it'll have all those little speckled holes in your welds and be real stylish as well because that little hot molten metal burns.
And if that's not good enough for you, I'm sure they've got a wire brush in there that'll take care of it real fast. Put those holes in there just like you like.
Hey,
I wasn't sure where he was going with that.
Pay extra. Pay extra.
You know, somebody would go to anthropology and pay $200 for a pair of jeans that have got weld speck holes burned in them.
Listen, when it comes to fashion, I know all about that.
Boy, I'm just going to get in trouble if I follow that up with anything.
Just don't.
Please don't.
Don't play.
Don't egg him on.
Don't egg him on.
Yeah, at any rate. So, what do you got going on this week in the shop? I always love to ask that question because I want to be, in
He's
there.
got so much stuff going
Well, I
on.
know, but
Let's
what's
run through the shop real quick. So we've got a E36 M3 BMW 4-door.
Wait a minute, E36.
Yep. So we're talking late 90s, early 2000 BMW.
Okay.
4-door for it fits more people. We'll leave it at that. Being built for WRL/Lemons, so it's an endurance race car. Will run 12 to 14 hours at a time.
Now, does it have all the seats in it, or has it got race seats? Has it been
we've
converted?
Completely gutted this one out. One seat. Roll
But it's
cage.
a four-door,
four-door,
so you got to have a certain amount of that.
Yeah.
So it's
just
a four-door
four-door.
sedan race car.
Yep. And then beside that, we have an Infiniti G35 that was made into a race car. Additionally, we've got an E92 BMW, so 2009, 2010 BMW M3 being built for Formula.
Do you have any
Drift.
American iron in there at all?
cars?
We've got Corvette. Sorry, we do have a Corvette. We've got a 2001 C5Z06 that runs Big Bend Open Road Race. Just finished building that one. It's back for a couple electrical issues. We found an oil leak on one of the coolers, but it's a motor built by LG up in Dallas. 525 at the wheels, 575 foot-pounds of torque.
LG
Crazy.
stands for Lou Gelati.
Yeah, they build a pretty nasty motor.
Yes, they do.
What else is in there? You've got a Mustang that we're throwing a 2JZ, which is the Supra.
Toyota Supra.
Yeah, Toyota Supra turbo motor going into a Fox body.
And people are getting 12, 14, 1,800 horsepower out of that. You know why? Because it's got 7 main bearings, and it'll hold the boost.
This one will only be about 900 horse only. In a Fox body that looks stock from the outside.
That's scary.
What do I have in my car, Conrad? An LS1?
Yeah, yours would be an LS1.
An LS1. So, I've had this wild hair lately.
Let's put a hairdryer on it.
Can fix anything like that?
I've had this wild hair about maybe going and buying a blower and put on it.
They got some super simple bolt-on blowers for LS motors.
Like in a day, literally.
Mm-hmm.
You buy it, at the end of the day, you're on the dyno.
Yeah. Really?
I mean, it's basically replacing the intake manifold and putting a pulley system on front, upgrade the injectors. You're done.
Yeah, when you're ready for that, let us know.
And I think it comes as
those right people.
As relatively a complete kit as well.
Oh, it's a complete turnkey.
Really? Yeah. You open the box and here it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything you need. Take it to the dyno, get it tuned at the end of the day.
Everything you need except the money.
Easy bolt-on installation are the key words.
Yeah. You won't bolt it on yourself.
For who? Not me.
Last time I did that, it took me 4 days, and then I ended up towing it someplace.
See, this way when you show up at the meet and you just, it's just got bolt-ons.
Yeah. Well, actually, the
the
Mustang that we're building was for a customer that had a C7 with twin turbos on it. But he was tired of showing up to car meets and nobody looking at his car. So got rid of it. Sold it. It was just a twin turbo Corvette. Now he's bought the Mustang, and now Ford putting a Toyota motor in it.
That'll attract attention.
Yeah, some people, it may be how do you want your attention, right?
So
It's cool.
how do you decide which manufacturer to go with when it comes to a blower on an LS1?
There's a couple that I would go with, and
who would they be?
ProCharger would be my first choice, and then Magnuson would be second.
Yeah, and Magnuson makes a real beautiful sit in the valley.
They make better sounds.
Yeah, blower. It's got a real nice.
Because I want to hear that
whir. The whir.
I
want to hear.
You want the Magnuson. That's what you would want.
The Magnuson.
Yeah,
Let me
ProCharger
write
is just
that down.
super easy.
Magnuson. I got to do my. I got to do my research.
And if I'm correct, the Magnuson will fit under your hood. You won't have to do any hood.
Well, I'm
mods
not
to
going
it.
to cut any hoods.
No, you don't have to. With
well,
the Magnuson.
I will not cut any hoods.
It'll
period.
just sit in the valley.
Yeah, that's one of the.
And
first
they do kind of a cool thing because the reason it fits under the hood is the pulley system. The pulley's up front, but a drive shaft from the pulley goes all the way around to the back of the blower to drive the blower. So you're still taking the air in the front of the blower where your normal air throttle body intake is on the Corvette that rolls over the
It just
radiator.
makes more power. That's all he wants to know.
Yeah.
More power.
How much more power does it make?
On a stock LS1, pick up probably 200.
Oh, my God, that much?
Both on
Well, the cool
200
thing, too, is you
horses?
can just change a pulley and go for more if you want.
No, I'm good. I'll just go with the old stock.
200 would be enough.
Let me tell you something. That car's got plenty of horsepower for me, personally.
Yeah, but you need
But
the
it's
allure
Texas.
of the blown.
I know
the
I
blower
want the sound.
wine.
Maybe I could put a speaker under there and play it back.
Well, there actually is a company out there that has that you can put a speaker on and you plug this thing into the communication device under the dash, and it reacts with sound to the foot feed.
And
Talk
they're
about
selling
a
this.
cheater.
They're selling it.
They're selling it, I'm sure. Okay.
And you can tune it to a little Honda 4-cylinder, big blower,
There
a
you
diesel,
go, Honda 40.
whatever you want.
Richard, it's great. It's great to have you in the studio. Thanks so much, man. We appreciate you coming in.
it. Thank you.
Time now for our Ram Tracks feature in Will Time's weekly look into the Ram Nation, and Mr. Mars has
You know,
that.
I was over there looking at the Ram Trucks website, and I was trying to kind of figure out some of the things that's going on with my truck, my personal truck. And I got to looking around, trying to figure out what it would do if I was going to tow something. Particularly, I'm sure, Richard, you would probably look at things that, what can I tow when I'm towing 2 or 3 cars? But you can go out there to the ramtrucks.com, and you can literally go in there and figure out, based on the charts they've got, what you need to do what you need to do. I mean, we're talking about the 5.7-liter Hemi V8 to the 3.6. They've got a chart, and it lines up with gears for the rear end, all the different things and the towing capabilities on a nice, easy-to-read chart. If you think you're going to be towing 12,000 pounds, but I want to stay with a V6, so I can sit here and go through and look at it and figure out what gear ratio and all the things that I need to order to get the best towing capability vehicle that I want for my use.
Laramie Longhorn with a 6.7 Cummins.
There you go.
Tow anything you want.
Tow anything
It's
you
only got
want. But if you were trying to get specific, and you weren't trying to spend that kind of money, or you just, you kind of look at it and figure out what you want.
Yeah, we had a 1500 we towed with for a long time. 2-car trailer, hauling 2 cars, 5 people. And it was great in Texas until you get up in the mountains. We went up Pikes Peak with it.
Oh, gosh.
You want a little more motor, a little more gear.
Yeah.
But by the numbers, we were good. And understand those numbers are in general use. If you,
Right.
you know
Well,
you're
yeah,
going to Colorado,
absolutely.
you might want to get a little bit more.
Still ahead, it's Conrad's Car Clinic, and we'll have the stories making automotive news headlines coming up next on In Wheel Time, streaming on ESPN 97.5, YouTube, and Facebook/In Wheel Time.
Ram Trucks, back-to-back truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Time to show off all that hard work you did on your car over the winter. How about a different kind of Saturday morning cruise in? Tailpipes and tacos in Katy is fun and fabulous. Breakfast tacos, coffee, meeting other car enthusiasts, and the In Wheel Time Car Show. All in one location. The Lupi Tortilla Mexican restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in. Tailpipes and tacos, the 3rd Saturday of the month. Join us March 21st at Lupi's in Katy.
Don't forget to turn your clocks ahead 1 hour when you go to bed tonight. Hey, if you'd like to get in touch with us here at In Wheel Time, shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for Conrad's Car Clinic, and we're talking about getting burned on a used car.
You know, we've always talked about doing an inspection on a used car before you buy it, and a lot of shops will do a pre-purchase inspection for you. I had a friend of mine bought a used car, and he actually brought it someplace and got the pre-purchase, but they missed something. And it's something I think is real critical, that you do an inspection on the seatbelt system before you buy a used car for a multitude of things. First off is you want to make sure all the buckles work. You want to make sure all the seatbelts are there and in place, but look at the belt itself. When a seatbelt has been used in an accident, you can look at the distortion in the webbing. So, you know, seatbelts are generally about 2 inches wide in passenger cars, and it's a real fine webbing that when you look at them, it's got kind of an interesting herringbone pattern to it. And that's important, that you see that herringbone pattern and that pattern doesn't distort. So after he bought this car, he was having problems with one of the seat belts staying latched, which is really pretty dangerous. So after we did a little bit of inspection in it, come to find out, I'm looking at the shoulder harness on this seat belt, and the herringbone's really, really distorted. So I do a little bit of disassembly of the female buckle side of the seatbelt, and if you've ever looked inside of one and you take the sleeve off of it, look inside there, you can see where the belt has been involved, the buckle itself has been involved in an accident, and how it kind of pulls through this metal piece in there, and it's designed to do that. The other thing that happened was his retractor would lock up at weird spots. Do a good inspection of the seat belts on a vehicle before you buy a used car. Come to find out that this vehicle had been in an accident, and in the accident, they did not replace the seat belt that was engaged in the accident. Richard, for you in a race car, anytime somebody's had an incident, everybody does a real thorough inspection of seat belts, don't they?
It's not even an inspection; they're a replace.
Oh.
There is no inspection; they're just trash. Right. You throw them away and you go buy a new set. So an average seatbelt, to give you an idea of what when we're building cages in a car, and specifically seatbelt attachment points, seatbelts will stretch 1 inch for every 12 inches of belt to its anchor point. So let's go from behind your shoulder down to the side of the car, okay, where it's actually anchored. So now you've got about 6 feet, 6.5 feet of belt. Once the belt locks, you're still going to have up to 6 inches of stretch
I did not know
in
that.
the belt. But the stretch is what you're seeing in the herringbone pattern. When it stretches, it changes the pattern, and you can visually see it.
It's a quick way to identify that belt has been involved in an accident.
And you just grab it and slowly pull it out, and if you're watching the pattern, you'll see it. If you don't see anything and you still think maybe it was an accident, go look at the rear seats. Go to the center seat belts in the rear seat. They're not actually on a tensioner. Usually, you can pull those out and see exactly what the pattern is supposed to look like and identify it.
And let me tell you something. Those seat belts are not cheap.
Oh, no. It's going to cost him for the driver's side, and it's a 3-point, it's a shoulder with a 2-point, and then it's going to cost him $1,200 to replace that driver's side seat.
Is that for the belt or the service? Because it's an airbag. If it's an airbag charged one, it has to be done by an airbag approved service person. So you're going to pay more.
No, his doesn't
for that
have
as well.
his doesn't
no
have
charge in it.
Right.
See, we just went through it on a Honda Fit. Daughter made a mistake, rear-ended mom. I'm talking about that on the radio, so we'll corner her on that. But on the Fit, little $800 car we bought, it was just fun. But it blew this airbag
part of the
side.
seatbelt, right?
I bought the car for $800. That unit alone is $550.
So do a good inspection on the seatbelts before you buy a used car.
Time now for the events calendar. Things coming up here. Only on.
There's always lots of stuff coming up. On March 15th, which is next Sunday, I'm going to go, and it's going to be the 3rd annual Freddy's Car Show at 1960 in Eldridge at the Freddy's Steak Burger place, put on by Showcase Classics, who does a lot of stuff around town. On March 21st is the Klein Forest fundraiser for their automotive department. We've had Jonathan Couch on the show before. Also on the 21st, Sanger High School is going to have their car, truck, and motorcycle show that's benefiting the softball team. In the Auto Fest is going to be at Lamar Consolidated Natatorium, and it's a fundraiser for the automotive program on March 28th. We're going to be elsewhere doing something else, but if you want to support an automotive program, get out there to Lamar Consolidated. It's $20 to show your car.
Today's automotive news next here on In Wheel Time, ESPN 97.5.
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time. which means more time to discover all that awaits in a luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, more time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Don't forget, clock's ahead 1 hour tonight when you go to bed. Time now for the stories making automotive news headlines here on the In Wheel Time radio program on ESPN 97.5 from the autonews.com website. Federal prosecutors Thursday charged Gary Jones with stealing more than $1 million from the United Auto Workers membership he pledged to serve as president. Jones becomes the
thieving dog.
Jones becomes the 14th person charged in connection with the years-long corruption probe that has uncovered a wide-ranging conspiracy to steal union funds and spend them on expensive champagne, cigars, golf clubs, and other luxuries. The scandal has snared 2 retired vice presidents in addition to a one-time top negotiator at Fiat Chrysler. It is ugly, prosecutors said. Jones, along with aide Edward Nick Robinson, former regional director Vance Pearson, and others, were involved in a multifaceted scheme to embezzle funds from the UAW. Robinson and Pearson have pleaded guilty to embezzlement charges and await sentencing. In 2015, the feds alleged Jones ordered more than $13,000 worth of cigars. The purchase included 12 boxes of Ashton Double Magnum cigars worth $268 per box and Ashton Monarch Turbos worth $274 per box. Just the cigars. I wonder if they had a band on them. That's another story. In 2017, the feds alleged that Jones and others spent $539,608.02 on multiple golf resorts and hotels. They also spent more than $290,000 on condominiums, lavish restaurants, golf green fees, cigars, spa services, clothing, musicals, amusement park, tickets, and other luxuries, and on and on.
They were living the high life while their members were on strike.
Schneider said Thursday the luxuries paid for with union money also included 5 sets of custom golf clubs and horseback riding on the beach.
Well, that sounds a little bit like
they didn't say naked or clothed, but they said horseback riding.
Wine, women, and fun stuff.
And I'm sure that there were women involved in that too.
But they couldn't pay for it with a credit card.
No, they didn't have the credit card. GM's coming out with, they're spending $20 billion on electric. We all know that. And Ford said Tuesday that it will offer a battery electric version of the Transit cargo van in the U.S. and Canada for the 2022 model year as it looks to strengthen its leadership in commercial vehicles.
Probably going to chase a little bit of Amazon and a UPS business with that as well.
Exactly. We've got more of the In Wheel Time radio program. We're going to wrap things up right after this quick break on ESPN 97.5.
Ram trucks, back-to-back truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
If baby could talk, she'd say a lot. You'd know what she's thinking and what makes her happy. But unfortunately, baby can't talk or remind you. You're the one taking her to daycare today, and she won't speak up if you drive straight to work like any other day and never think to look in the backseat. Every year, dozens of kids die from heat stroke in cars. No one is perfect, so set a reminder and always look before you lock. Where's baby? Paid for by NHTSA.
Well, we're going to say goodbye and let him worry about the rest of the clock because we'll figure it out. Well, that's it for today's In Wheel Time presented by Jeep and Ram. When you're on Facebook, please give us a like. You'll get Conrad's Unicorn Hunting features along with all things automotive. And while you're online, you'll want to sign up for our feeds on Twitter and Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. In the ESPN control room is Trey the Truth Campbell. The In-Wheel Time Chief Engineer is the fabulous David Ainsley. For Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. Again, thanks to our in-studio guest today. Saying so long for now, and we hope that you'll join us next week on this same Bat channel. Thanks for being part of the In-Wheel Time family. Have a great week and stay fabulous like you know you are.
This is Late Hits.
The difference between PEDs and sign stealing is the Grand Canyon. PEDs had a much greater effect on the game of baseball
It changed
than
the record book.
sign stealing will ever have, because you took fly balls that were routine flyouts and turned them into 440-foot homers. You took weak ground balls that were easy outs and turned them into doubles down the line. All right? You took, perfect example, so I was using Mariano Rivera, okay? Luis Gonzalez, who went to Arizona and all of a sudden looked like the friggin' Hulk, okay? That little broken bat flare that wound up going over Jeter's head so they could win Game 7 of the World Series off Mariano Rivera. If Luis Gonzalez isn't juiced out of his damn face, that's a pop-up that never leaves the infield grass.
Late Hits with Patrick Creighton and Chasen Braddock. Weeknights from 7 to 9 on ESPN 97.5.
State your correct name for the record.
ESPN 97.5. Presented by Zadok Jewelers. KFNC Mont Bellevue, Houston.
Will get a precautionary MRI on his left knee. He took a hard fall in the second half of last night's loss against the Lakers. Steph Curry will sit out tonight's Warriors game against the 76ers. Curry played his first game since October on Thursday night against the Raptors. Kenny Atkinson is out as coach of the Nets. Jacques Vaughn will take over the team for the rest of the season. Wojnarowski says it's a mutual parting of the ways.
Kenny Atkinson will be in great demand around the...
Kenny Atkinson and Sean Marks together built the Nets into a destination that appealed to Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving in free agency. But in the conversations those two had, they both had felt that Atkinson's voice had run its course with this team, that together each had gone as far as the other had wanted to go. Instead of waiting until the season was over, they decided to make the change now.
The Nets are 7th right now in the Eastern Conference standings, but they're 6 games under 500. College basketball right now. Florida leads 6th-ranked Kentucky 70-69 with 35 seconds left to go in Gainesville. Finals, Villanova beats Georgetown 70-69. Auburn rips Tennessee 85-63. And Wisconsin beats Indiana